Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I thought we slow it up this week and I thought we break it down this week, and I want to take you guys step by step on how I draw faces. So, if that interests you and you want to see me do what I do, just keep on watching. Alright, so last tutorial I went over my whole entire workflow process. This video, we're going to slow it down and I'm going to go over in depth how I actually draw my faces. So there are two methods of drawing faces from some really famous art guys. The first one we're going to go over is the Loomis Method. So I'm definitely no pro when it comes to drawing faces, but you know who is a pro? Andrew Loomis. His method is all about deconstructing the cranium into its basic forms, which is the spherical shape and also this angular jaw-like shape for the chin and the cheekbones. So it's very simple, and as you can see, you also get guidelines for the nose, the eyes, and the ears in this method, and it is a good starting point to start off all your sketches with. Now, like I said before, I'm no art history buff, but I think that Andrew Riley took Loomis's great method and then made his method 20 times better, because his method really focuses on the planes of the face and mapping out the features in a more graphical way that is easier to translate onto your actual sketch. So as you guys can see right here, I went ahead and did my own map of this girl's face, and it helps me when I'm drawing, because if I do this before I even start sketching, then I have a better idea of how my sketch is actually supposed to look by breaking it down this way. So that's why I like to do this with most of my drawings. That way I can get it as close to the reference picture as possible. I'm going to show you guys how I do it live so you guys can kind of see. One of the biggest things that I think changed the game for me was focusing on the patterns of faces instead of trying to exactly draw an eye, for example, or the exact same nose. Like if I look at where the nose is compared to where the eyes are, where the lips end compared to where the eyebrows start, like it helps me get the features way closer. So that's just a little tip that I thought you guys would like, and this is how I do all of my illustrations, and it really does help. Alright, so we got the basics out the way, a little bit of art history out of the way. Now let's get into the sketching process, where we are going to implement those two methods that we have just introduced. Alright, so first things first, we have to start with the Loomis method, which is the sphere and the cheekbone jaw type shape for the bottom. And then I am going to split this halfway to show the center line of the face, which is where the nose and the lips reside on. So I am drawing that in right now, also adding in where I think the chin is gonna be, along with where I think the mouth is gonna be. Since I am not someone that does things by the book exactly, I do go back and forth from the Loomis method and the Riley method. Like you saw right there, I just added in where I think the jaw type shape will be, and then I go back and then I am figuring out where the eyes are going to be. So I do go back and forth, but it's because art is all about doing your own thing, and like this is just the way I do it. After I'm like pretty happy with what I have mapped out so far, I start adding in a little more detail to the nose, just so I can get the proportions right before I start adding in more things. So like I said earlier, I go back and forth, but it does help me, and I don't know, I like doing it that way. So I started getting a little confused, and I decided to really go deeper into the Riley method. So I went to my reference picture and I started mapping out the Riley method graphical type thing onto her face. That way it would be easier for me to replicate it onto the drawing I'm doing. So I do this when I get stuck, but I don't like to do this when I first start off, because I like to see how far I can get on my own. It's not cheating, it's just that it's a great way to practice for me personally when I don't do it right away. So I try to see how far I can get on my own before doing this to the reference picture. And then I feel like I just get better each face I do. So if you're someone who draws a lot of faces, I feel like that's when they stop doing the step completely. But for me, I knew that things were off, like the lines I had right here for the eyes and for the eyebrows. So once I put the Riley method on the reference picture, I was able to correct it on my sketch. So I hope that makes sense, but I do this when I get a little confused and a little bit lost in the sketching process. Once I was pretty happy, I started adding in more details, which is what I'm doing right here with the eyeballs. And I started figuring out the nose as well. I started trying to figure out where the eyebrows are supposed to go and things like that. The beginning stages of my sketches always look a hot mess, but that's just the beauty of art. So, you know, you just got to stay with it. And that's what I do with all my drawings. They all look like a hot mess at first. So after I was pretty happy, I detailed the eyes just a tad bit. And I don't know, it was still looking a little off to me, but I thought, okay, I can fix it later. So I was trying to touch it up, see why I didn't like it, but then I was like, forget it, I'm gonna go for it. So that's what you see me doing right here, adding even more detail to the eyeballs. I always turn the canvas upside down when I'm doing eyelashes. This is just a really bad habit of mine. All right, and once I was happy with that, I darkened it all up, and then I started adding even more details to the eyes and the hair. That's what I'm doing right here, and I colored in the hair because I felt like it was gonna help me see the proportions better, see how far off I was. All right, so we are now in the second phase of my sketching process, which is my refining sketch. This is where I basically go over all my favorite lines, add more details, just really put in work so that the final product will come out as perfect as I can possibly make it. So I do take a lot of time on this sketch. And in my previous video, we kind of sped over it. So this one's just gonna go slower. But if you guys need the even slower version, then you guys can just let me know. So as you guys can see, I'm starting off with just doing the eyes. I always start off with the eyes. I don't know why. Eyes are important in a drawing. That's probably why, but here I go again, flipping it upside down for the eyelashes. And I'm doing the brows again. As you guys know from my previous video, this is basically tracing over your work that you already drew. However, it is crucial. So I wanted to show you guys. And so I was not going to draw the hands. I was going to take the easy way out. Then I thought, hold up, Kayla, push yourself here. So I did decide to draw the hands, and I'm actually really happy I decided to draw them. I always try to avoid them as much as I can, but no, I'm really happy that I drew them. And you guys can also see that the hair is cut off on the sides, and that's because I resized the image smaller to match the reference picture better, because I made the head way too big and I was not liking it. So as you guys can see, I took off the old layer and it left me with a more circular afro, which, you know, I was digging at this point. And I was pretty happy with it. So yeah, all good here. this video is mostly showing you guys sketch work, so it's definitely important that I showed the hands, and I'm very happy that I did. So here's a zoom in of me drawing the hands in very, very, very fast motion, but I did draw them. I also colored in the fro because, as I told you guys earlier, it helps me see how far off I am from the reference photo. So I had to color it in, but that's just a personal preference of mine. I was happy at this point, really, really happy. And the video is about how I sketch, so this is basically it. Like, the tutorial can technically end here. However, I did want to show completing the work because I don't ever just end things on sketches, but boom, that was the final sketch and I was very happy with it. So here's a comparison with the reference photo and the sketch, and girl, I was living for it. I loved it. But I couldn't leave out the coloring process, even though it's super sped up. She was just so gorgeous that I just wanted to show this part too. So Black girl magic right here, ladies. Yeah, guys, so this was the video. And here is my work compared to the reference image. I did switch up some things, but you know, it's pretty close. I'm gonna show you guys what I think is a little off, which is the lips. But other than that, I was really happy. Added in my little logo necklace, and boom, that was it. Alright everyone, so that's a wrap on the video. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it, loved it, hearted it, whatever. If you guys are not following me on Instagram, follow me at Kshealiece_Artistry. And I hope I see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye!